Evening, how are you tonight? James from the Milken Institute earlier was talking about stress and loneliness. I imagine being the last speaker having to follow all those other amazing speakers tonight. Thank you very much, Alistair, for the listing there. Tonight to be here, I had to skip my daughter's bedtime story. So as a journalist, I thought I would tell you a story, if that may be all right. And this is the Ballad of the Self-Made CEO. And surrounded by so many people here tonight who are creating success, maybe some of this true life story will just resonate. So if you're sitting comfortably, I'll begin. Once upon a time, there was a determined young man. He was bright, but he was born into poverty. He was raised by humble but hard-working parents in a sink estate called Bestwood, which was a bit ironic because there were no trees, just concrete. And rather than being the best, it was one of the worst communities in his city of his birth for crime or economic opportunity. But as I say, this was a determined young man. And despite his disadvantages, he won a scholarship to the city's best school. There he excelled both academically and in sports, representing his county in rugby, football, tennis, cricket. And he went on to succeed, battling some class discrimination based on his poor upbringing. This made him tough. He grew into a man who punched life in the face, and pretty much anyone who tried to stand in his way. After rising through the ranks of the company, he struck out on his own, growing a business into an international concern with customers and operations around the world. His motto in life was Invictus Manio, which means I remain undefeated. And so he did for many years. This was true. And then one day, this self-made CEO faced something he'd never faced before, a mental health crisis. 3 months later, this CEO, who was the strongest and most resilient man I have ever met, was dead at 68. That man was my father. And it was at that point that I realized that if he could fall, we all could fall. The success and the determination to succeed that drives us is no shield from mental health. And indeed, it is blind to demographics, advantage, education, privilege, or rank. And again, if you look at the statistics, 1 in 3 of us will be impacted by mental health. And I've said this before, if you look around your table, which of you has it been, is it, or will it be? The truth is, the fact is, that it's closer to 1 in 1. Because if you get from 0 to 99, and you have no mental health issue, you truly have won the lottery. So how does this gel with the theme of my speech, which is there can be no company health without mental health? Well, firstly, this all starts with you, the leaders of your enterprises and organizations, because you are at the top of your organizations. So nothing can change in this space unless you lead it. Nothing can cascade down through your organizations unless you champion it. But you could quite rightly say, Scott, why should I bother? You could dismiss my father's story. He was just one man, and my opinion of him is, biased. But there is now an undeniable body of evidence which shows that businesses who don't wake up to this could face an existential challenge in the next 5 to 10 years. Now just dwell on that for a moment. If your chief risk officer or investment advisor came to you and said there was a new piece of European legislation that could threaten your business or your investment and close it down in a decade, you'd take that seriously, you'd listen. But if they said that mental health could do that faster, what would you think? Take the words of Gary Vee, and in terms of influence and success, he outguns me by a power about 1,000%, which is deeply disappointing and quite annoying. But when we met in Dubai, he said something that really resonated. Bosses who are worried now about the great resignation have yet to see the great I'll never apply to your company. We have crossed a generational inflection with millennials and Gen Zs realizing they can do just as well without big organizations or employers. When I started in journalism a very long 35 years ago, my only access to the market was to join a big organization, was to join a newspaper. Now journalists can self-publish in a heartbeat. Research paper after research paper, be it McKinsey, PwC, Deloitte, BCG, Signet, Bupa, pick your global consultancy, say that the younger generation is rejecting the model that we grew up with. And one of the primary causes is mental health. And indeed, recently, Arabian Business published research from Michael Page, a global recruitment consultancy, that said that half of all job applicants now walking through the door for interview are asking about a company's mental health policy. So think about that. If you can't attract talent, if you can't attract young, agile minds to your company, then what future does your company have? How do you break out of that ever-decreasing spiral, unable to innovate and evolve? And today, the journey from one of the top companies in the world to irrelevance is faster than it's ever been, particularly even faster than when Nokia went la la la, not listening, smartphones, never going to work. The truth is, there cannot be any company health without mental health. It's already as important as ESG, which is appropriate because right now, mental health denial feels like climate change denial. We all know it's there, but we don't talk about it. Back in my father's day, when I was growing up in the 80s and the 90s, there used to be the phrase, no pain, no gain. You've got to suffer for your success. I would suggest that moving forward, the phrase should be, no brains, no gains. I never had a conversation about mental health with my father in the 68 years he was here. I wish I dearly had. One of the things I took from his passing was that I will have more conversations about mental health. So I hope you'll forgive me for starting a conversation with you tonight about this. And to finish off my story, I dearly wish that you and your endeavours live happily ever after. Thank you very much and enjoy your dinner.